Hey, you beautiful twin flames, and welcome back to Tarot for You 444. Today I have an audio message for you, just an audio message today. I've had a few comments from, I'm going to call them rando commandos. I'm going to call them that. People who I've never, seen before on YouTube saying, there's no vision, there's no pictures. So if that's you and you want to leave a comment, that's a bit silly, because I really do these I do these videos that are non-videos, if you like. I'll call it a non-video. I do them primarily so that the message is actually heard. What I find is that when people are learning, sometimes visual is necessary, but other times the reason there's no visual is so that you can visualize it in your own mind as I talk. So that is why there's a method in my madness, okay? That crazy chick from Australia actually knows what she's doing sometimes. Not all the time, just sometimes. So this is an audio video. It's actually, I'm still using the video platform, but you just can't see anything. So close your eyes and come on a roller coaster ride with me, because today I'm talking about something really specific here, to do with twin flames. And I bet you bottom dollar, either you or someone you love, aka your twin flame, or perhaps even a soulmate, has been through this in some kind of way, shape or form, and it's going to enlighten you by hearing what I have to say today. So please listen carefully. Of course, you may rewind the video and listen again, and this is a really important topic. You can research it in your own private time after this, but in some way, shape or form, you're going to have gone through this yourself, or you know someone who's gone through this, and it's a very real, very powerful scenario that occurs for twin flames in general. It can happen between twin flames, as in, from twin flame to twin flame, or it can happen for twin flames who are in karmic relationships, whether that be a boyfriend, girlfriend, married partner, mother, brother, sister, cousin, etc. So let's get started now, because I'm going to explain to you all about trauma bonding today. Now, trauma bonding is usually associated with fraternity hazing, military training, kidnapping, child abuse, political torture, cults, prisoner of war or concentration camps. However, they sound pretty full on. However, this also happens in people's day-to-day lives as well. So let's first talk about what trauma bonding is. A trauma bonding relationship is actually an attachment which is created by a repeated physical or emotional trauma. Okay, so I'll say that again. A trauma bonding relationship is an attachment created by repeated physical or emotional trauma. What happens then is the abuser is constantly or consistently also giving intermittent positive reinforcement. And this can occur in many relationship types. So if we take the example of, I don't really like to use child abuse, so I won't use that example. I'll use the example of a kidnapper, okay, because we were talking about the Stockholm syndrome the other day. A kidnapper might say to their kidnappee, if you behave, I will untie your wrists and feed you, I don't know, a really yummy dinner, right? So even though they're being treated poorly, there is an intermittent, right? Not constant, intermittent. Every now and again, they give them a hit or a fix of something positive, okay? So you might be thinking of, maybe this has happened to you, you know, maybe your mother has done this to you, or your father has done this to you, or your sister, or your brother, or your cousin, or the person you're in a relationship with, or were in a relationship with in some kind of way. So let's continue. The physical abuse will occur and cause a strong connection because of the stressful situation, and this causes the bond to be created. Okay, so let's just look at the military for a moment. If we think about the military, you know, and you go into military training, or you go into a war situation or a hostile situation, you know, let's say we've got a private and a sergeant. You know, the private may be bonded to the sergeant because of the stressful situation, because during the body's natural stress response, the sympathetic nervous system and limbic system become heightened. Now, this happens whenever anyone is in a stressful situation. Now, the limbic system is a part of the body that regulates your emotions and motivated behaviors. So it's what allows you to think clearly normally when there's no stress. It also includes, you know, your hunger ability, you know, to know that you're hungry, and also sexuality. So this limbic system is connected to what we already know as the fight or flight stress response. So during the stress, the prefrontal cortex, which is in the brain, becomes cut off. And this prefrontal cortex enables the brain to do long-term planning, including risk analysis. Okay, so if you were in the woods and a bear was coming at you, your brain is going to make you either fight or run, you know, the fight or flight response. It's not going to be, you know, taking time to plan out things. It's not going to be taking time to think, oh, am I hungry now? Do I feel like having sex now? It's not going to be doing that. Okay? So this this prefrontal cortex, as I said, enables the brain to do the long-term planning and risk analysis. But when the body is under stress, i.e. when it's frightened or highly stressed, the brain cannot utilize these functions at all, because it's only capable of getting itself through the trauma. So for those of you, I know a lot of you have had, you know, difficult childhoods, difficult upbringings, really stressful situations for you. This, or even relationships like that with people, maybe it's been a romantic relationship or maybe not. But what happens is the prefrontal cortex gets switched off, so the brain can't get out of the situation. And this occurs a lot in domestic violence situations, where, you know, people say, you know, how come that woman stayed with that violent guy for 30 years? We don't get it, you know. What happened was that the prefrontal cortex that enables the brain to plan and do any risk assessment or risk analysis was shut off. And so the domestic violence, you know, abusee, the person being abused, could not see a way out. They couldn't think clearly because they were under so much stress. So during the stressful time, it's really easy to see and understand why people can become so attached to anything that helps them get through the trauma. The brain associates a thing or a person with safety. So in the case of the sergeant and the private's associating the stressful situation with knowing that the sergeant is there to help him, right? Or her, him or her. This also occurs in a domestic violence situation, in a child abuse situation, or any kind of kidnapping situation. Mother and son, mother and daughter, father and son, father and daughter can happen there too. So even if the abuser, let's take the Stockholm scenario as an example. So even in the case of that kind of scenario, like a kidnapping situation, the intense connection with the abuser is due to actually a strong hormonal connection. The hormones kind of go crazy during this stress response. So this occurs for both the abuser and the abusee. So for the person kidnapping the person and for the other person. It even creates a feeling for the abused person to feel as though they need the other person to survive. Because they were with that person, they feel like they need that person to survive. Another great example is, I'm trying to think, is it Snoopy? Is it Snoopy where that little boy has his blanket? I think it's Snoopy. Maybe it's not, I don't know, but it's a little cartoon or cartoon, and the little boy has his blankie, So that's why sometimes little children want their dummy or want their blankie, because they're associating that thing with, or even their mummy, right? With, while I'm going through stress, I've got mummy, or I've got my blankie, or I've got my dummy, okay? So there's actually a hormonal connection to the thing or the person, which is really phenomenal to understand here. So now in the case of twin flames, a twin flame may have a trauma bonding experience with a karmic. This could be their mother, their sister, their brother, their cousin, a married partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, almost making it impossible for them to leave. So many of you as divine feminines may have a twin flame already in a connection with someone else, and you're wondering why on earth are they not leaving that connection? It's toxic, it's abusive, it's borderline batshit crazy, right? Take gender how it resonates and flip DM to DF how you wish. So as the cycle of the abuse with the positive but remember intermittent reinforcement occurs, a chemical bond occurs here, and I've already said that this bond is hormonal, so it becomes very strong. It becomes like a baby needs its mother, it's that strong. So the brain of the abused actually becomes addicted with hormones, including oxytocin, which is known as the cuddle hormone, and dopamine, the feel-good hormone, which is associated with cravings and motivation. So therefore, the trauma bond between the abuser and the abusee actually causes a chemical, hormonal, and highly addictive dependence, just like narcotics or drugs might do to someone. So even though the person who's being abused or treated poorly, even though that can be a sad time during that stress period, when they are treated well, it kind of becomes like that's where the addiction happens, because they're treated poorly, then they're treated well. They're treated poorly, then they're treated well. Now, the other thing I want to mention here is that in the twin flame journey, this trauma bonding can also happen because of the separation of the twin flames. So if you remember, you would have met your twin flame and it would have been absolutely blissful right? And then if there's a separation that's occurred for some kind of reason, or an argument or something like that, that creates the stress. And then your twin flame might come back and be sweet to you, and then they might leave again, and then they might come back again. So the withdrawal or the separation by the other twin, and then, with the intermittent coming back or positive reinforcement of a text message, of a call, etc., can actually cause a trauma bond to occur. So this is why divine feminine, ends up, sometimes checking her phone, wondering, counting the days, it's been 8 days, it's been 12 years, it's been however long it's been, and they've still got this bond to this person. Because in the time of stress or in the time of separation, sometimes the twin flame will be there and sometimes not, but it's the addiction to them coming back again because it felt like bliss. So they may have treated you really well and then treated you like crap, and then treated you well and then treated you like crap, and you can see the pattern happening where the brain goes, oh, I'm in stress, and then, oh, I'm in love. Oh, I'm in stress. Oh, I'm in love. And it's creating this bond of love and stress together. Kind of, this stressful experience, because usually for twin flames, during the separation, the divine feminine is kind of thinking of their twin flame in the separation, which can be kind of dangerous. As far as chemical bonding and hormonal bonding occurs here. So, wow, what I'm trying to say is the importance of surrender in the twin flame journey is really important. If your twin flame and you are having regular conversations and it's all tickety-boo and normal, and you're just separating because they're going to work or something like that, that's normal. People have to go to work, people have to sleep, people have to brush their teeth, etc. That's normal. But if your twin flame is doing something like coming in, you're arguing and then going away, and then they come back and they're like being really kind to you, and it seems a bit strange, it's kind of this stress and then love, and then stress, and then love, and then stress, and then love, and then stress, and then love, then this is going to cause a trauma bonding. And while you're in separation with them, if you continually think about them like an addiction, right? It's like the guy who wants a cigarette and he can't have a cigarette, and he continually thinks of the cigarette, or the people on the stranded on the island, and they've got only coconuts to eat for a few days, and they lay there and they go, oh, I'd love a sirloin steak right now, it's like that. So the surrender part of the journey is really important, because if you are having this addictive response when your twin flame goes away, you're freaking out like, that they're my savior, which can happen, especially in the beginning stages. It can happen even up to union stage, but this is a trauma response. I need them to text me, I need them to call me, I need to see them. That is a trauma response. It's totally different to when you just miss them. Oh, okay, they've just gone away, they've gone away with their friends for 2 days, and I know they're coming back on Sunday because they said they're coming back. That's different. So I want you to understand that this trauma bonding may have occurred for some of you in your childhood with a mother or father figure or a caregiver here. For some of you, you've been through some really shitty stuff in your childhood. You may have suffered child abuse. Trauma bonding also occurs there. A child is promised, food or etc. if they do certain acts. Take it how it resonates for you. I don't want to go into child abuse because I I find that that's a really triggering topic for many twin flames, so I won't go into that in detail. So I want you to understand that your divine masculine and or feminine, take it how it resonates for you, may have suffered a trauma bond, or maybe in a trauma bond with someone else right now. Someone who treats them well, then treats them like shit, then treats them well, then treats them like shit. Okay? This, could be their mother, this could be their father, this could be their cousin, this could be their boss. Okay? Because this also happens in work scenarios. And you may be noticing a pattern happening to yourself as well. For some people, they can be in a job for 20 years and be treated like absolute crap, but they, when they get the bonus or the reward of the money at the end of the month, that's where the trauma bond occurs, because it's like, well, even though I get treated like crap all the time and I'm stressed all the time, I'm still getting that big paycheck at the end of all of this. So you can see how people become addicted to being in a job, for 20, 30, 40 years. So this is not normal. This is not something that you want to stay in. This is this can happen with a false twin flame. False twin flames, I always like to say, when you finally get clarity later on and you realize if you've been in a false twin flame relationship, they're actually psychopaths. They actually enjoy watching people suffer. They actually can be very sweet and accommodating and very endearing in the beginning. They are master manipulators most times, and of course it is to set you off the path of your twin flame. So you'll know what I mean if you've been through a false twin flame scenario. So basically I want to wrap it up now and say that trauma bonding is a very real thing that occurs for many people, all walks of life, all different cultures, and this relationship is an attachment created by a repeated physical and or emotional trauma, which also consists of intermittent positive reinforcement. Okay? So we talked about Stockholm Syndrome, which is also in the Twin Flame Concept playlist. If you want to go back and watch that video, I've got Barbara Barbie tied up. She's all tied up in that video. But what I want you to understand first and foremost is that if you're in a relationship right now that feels like this, it probably is this. Okay, so if you need to talk to me, my email will be in the description box below. If you need to work through this in some kind of way, it may also help you understand your counterpart and why they're simply not leaving their karmic and or karmics. It might be a family situation that they're stuck in, where they say, even though my mother is so abusive to me, she relies upon me for my money, or she relies upon me for my emotional support. And of course they're stuck in a trauma bond that may have been going on for years and years and years and years and years. So just be aware that this is a really, really important message. I think I'm going to title it Urgent for Twin Flames, because it's going to relate to all twin flames in some kind of way. If you haven't been through it, I dare say your twin flame has been through it with someone else, a karmic mother, sister, brother, cousin, etc. And some of you, are continually wondering if your twin flame is with someone else. You just don't understand it because of the toxicity. And this is why, because of trauma bonding, because their brain is associating that stress response with, oh, well, as I'm going through the stress, they're there for me, even though they're the ones causing the stress. The brain is kind of a little bit silly, where it doesn't, like I say, the prefrontal cortex shuts off, and so they basically don't have any clarity. They just see, I'm in stress, what do I need? that person's going to be there for them during that stressful period, even if, they're the one creating the argument or creating the scenario of abuse in some kind of way. And then they become hormonally and chemically bonded to that person. And for sometimes, the abuser may also be a narcissist, and actually enjoy doing this to the other person. Okay. And of course, they will be giving this intermittent positive reinforcement. Oh, I didn't mean to say that to you. I'm so sorry. Let's go out for dinner and celebrate, how wonderful our relationship is. You know what I mean? So this can happen in many, many scenarios. So I'm going to leave it there. I think I've given you enough about trauma bonding. Of course, you can look it up in your own time. But know that this is such a huge thing that affects the twin flame journey. And for many of you, you are really going to need to do a lot of inner work to bring your twin flame. If they're in a trauma bond with someone, you're going to need to do a lot of inner work to bring them out of that scenario. It's going to take a lot, because remember, a chemical or hormonal bond is like mother to child. You take a hungry baby away from its mother's breast milk, and you will see it scream. Not that you would do that, but you know what I mean. It's like that. They don't know why they want to still be with that person. There may not be no love in the connection, if we're talking about twin flames in other bonds. Okay, so I hope this has made sense. If you've got any long questions, send them to my email. If you've got any quick, short, comments or whatever, please, in the description box, try and be positive. Try and, try and not piss off the YouTube algorithm, with, if you want to swear, put some asterisks there or something like that, because otherwise YouTube doesn't like it. YouTube doesn't like you saying duck with an F, you know what I mean? So it would be F asterisk K, you know what I mean? Alrighty, I love you all so much. I'll be coming out with a divine masculine and feminine or twin flames check-in really soon, because I know some of you are going through a little bit of an awkward time there. The other quick thing, if you're still here, I want to ask you, for those of you, I just want to ask in general, are you interested in dating topics in general? Kind of not to do with the twin flame journey, but just dating topics, like as another sort of offshoot of my channel, because I know some of you are thinking about leaving the twin flame journey, or for some of you, you want to date someone while the twin flame journey is put on pause or whatever. Many of you will cringe when I say that because you love your twin flame so much, which is great too. Let me know if that's something that would interest you, dating topics, okay, and I'll start moving into those as well as the twin flame journey. As always, I'm sending you a beautiful day, night, afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, everyone, and if you need me, my details are down below. Bye, everyone. Bye.